In this video, I'm going to teach you how to use this awesome and underrated piece of equipment. If you've never used this before or you've only used it for sprint training, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to maximize your training and improve your swimming. Stick around, you're going to want to check this out. What's up guys, I'm CoachMattZ. I'm the head coach of Davis Aquatic Masters out in California, and I also make YouTube videos for people looking to learn more and elevate their swimming. Today, I'm gonna teach you how to use one of my favorite little tools, the tempo trainer. Now, tempo trainers are most commonly used for sprint training, but they can do so much more. And in this video, I'm gonna talk about all the cool ways I like to use my tempo trainer, from stroke efficiency to sprinting and even underwaters. Let's get into it. The tempo trainer that I've always used is this one. It's made by Finis and it works great. It's easy to use, it's got great functionality, and it's fairly durable. If you decide to go purchase one of these, I highly recommend this one. And if you do that, go to finisswim.com and use the code CoachMattZ, and you'll get 20% off this tempo trainer and any other gear you need. So go ahead and load up your shopping cart and enjoy that discount. Before we get into using this thing, we've got to learn how to turn it on and off and cycle through the different modes. So let's start there. To turn the tempo trainer on, you're simply going to push and hold the right button until the screen turns on. And then to turn it off, you're just going to push and hold both bottom buttons until the screen turns off. There are 3 modes to this tempo trainer, and the first one is for stroke tempo. So once you get it into mode 1, you're going to see a number on the screen. This number is how often you're going to hear a beep. So if it says 1 second, that means that it will beep every second. If you move it down to 0.8, you're going to hear a beep every 0.8 seconds. If you push and hold the top button, you're going to move into mode 2, which I like to use for pacing. The number on the screen here is in seconds. So right now I have it set to 5 seconds, meaning that it will beep every 5 seconds. If you push that top button one more time, you're going to move into mode 3, which is used for stroke rate. The number you see here is strokes per minute. So if you want to take 30 strokes per minute, you would enter 30 and it'll beep at the appropriate time to equal 30 strokes per minute, which in this example would be once every 2 seconds. So now that you know how to turn your tempo trainer on and off and what the different modes do, it's time to put this thing to use. The first and most common use for a tempo trainer is for sprint training. And the way I like to do this is by putting my tempo trainer in mode 1 and setting it to my desired tempo, meaning how fast I want my arms to move. I like to set it to beep for each stroke, meaning every time my tempo trainer beeps, a hand should hit the water. You can also set it to beep for each cycle. So for example, it beeps every time your right hand hits the water. It's up to you how you do it. I feel like more feedback is a good thing. However, if you have a more gallopy stroke, it might be easier to set it for every cycle. It's going to take you a few tries to figure out what your desired tempo is, and it's obviously going to be different for different strokes and different events. Your 50 free tempo is not going to be the same as your 200 backstroke tempo. And for context, I use a 0.55 tempo per stroke when I'm sprinting freestyle and a 0.75 tempo per stroke when I'm sprinting backstroke. But it's going to vary greatly depending on your age and ability. So give yourself some time to figure out what tempo works best for you. Pro tip, you can also use this for fly and breast. Just figure out what your goal tempo is for each stroke and go for it. For fly, I like to sync the beeps up to my hand hits, just like in the other strokes. And for breast, I like to sync the beeps up to my hands shooting forward. This really helps me emphasize that fast recovery in both strokes. Now, tempo trainers don't only have to be used for sprinting. I also like to use them to actually slow down my strokes to promote more kicking, better distance per stroke, and a better body line. So for this, I set my tempo trainer to a much slower pace. I do 1 second per hand hit for myself. And my goal here is to be able to go the same speed I usually do, but with this slower tempo. So I usually train hundreds on about a 120 interval and get about 10 seconds of rest. If I can hold that with a 1 second tempo, imagine what's going to happen when I speed up my arms. I'm going to go way faster. You can also use this for breaststroke for working on lengthening out your strokes for longer breaststroke swims. And again, if you can stay long and still go fast, when you increase your rate, you should be able to increase your speed. Although remember, with breaststroke, it's a little weird, and sometimes moving your arms and legs faster does not always equal faster swimming. You can also use your tempo trainer to help you when you're doing some drills. So for drills where you're pausing for a period of time, you can set the tempo trainer to how long you want to pause and use it as a guide to stay consistent. A couple drills that work well with the tempo trainer include head lead, freestyle, or backstroke. And with these drills, you can set the tempo to match when you rotate your hips. So say you want to rotate your hips every 5 seconds, set the tempo trainer to 5 seconds using either mode 1 or 2. Then every time you hear a beep, you quickly rotate to the other side. I like this variation of this drill because it promotes snapping the hips quickly. Another drill that works great with the tempo trainer is either 4-count switch freestyle or backstroke. And for this drill, you can set the tempo trainer to say 4 seconds, and every time you hear a beep, you take a stroke. These are great drills to lengthen out your strokes, and the tempo trainer will keep you consistent the whole way through. Those are just a few of the drills that you can use with your tempo trainer. Now, if you've ever used your tempo trainer for drills or in any other way, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear all the creative ways you guys are using these things. Another cool way you can use your tempo trainers is to improve your dolphin and flutter kicking. So starting with the dolphin kick, we're going to select mode 1 and we're going to set it for our desired tempo for each kick. I like to use 0.6, meaning every time I kick forward with my shins, I hear a beep. I use this both during kick sets and for dolphin kicks off the wall during my swim sets. Moving on to flutter kick, you're going to select mode 1 again and enter your desired tempo. I like to set it so it beeps either every time my right foot kicks or every time my left foot kicks. Otherwise, it just beeps too much and it might drive you insane. So for example, I have it set to a 0.5 tempo, meaning my right foot will kick every 0.5 seconds. Using your tempo trainer for your kick is going to keep you consistent and can be a great reminder to work your dolphin kicks off the wall. Finally, another great way to use your tempo trainer is for pacing. So we're going to select mode 2 and remember the number you see on the screen is in seconds. Now you need to know what your goal pace is for your swim, and what I like to do is divide that pace in half so you can sort of track your progress during the swim. For example, here my goal pace is 14 seconds for a 25, so I'm going to set my tempo trainer to 7 seconds. When it beeps, I'll push off the wall, and I want to be at least halfway down the pool by the time it beeps again, and then all the way to the other side before the next beep. And pro tip, you can really work on finishing your swims if you try to hold your breath after you hear that second beep until you hit the wall. Using your tempo trainer like this is a great way to keep you consistent and keep you on your paces throughout your workout. All right, you guys, making this video made me realize that I want to use my tempo trainer so much more. I was exhausted after filming these demonstrations because it kept me honest and made me realize when I was being inconsistent. These things are such great tools and can really help you maximize every workout. So go out, get yourself a tempo trainer and start playing around with it. You are not going to regret it. All right, guys, there you have it, my complete guide to using the tempo trainer. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the video. If you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you like this content, consider subscribing. I've got new videos coming out weekly and you're not going to want to miss them. I'm CoachMattZ. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I'll see you next time.